Kia ora, ka Waiaruhi te ao. My name is Alex Edwards and I have lived on both the Waitangi and the Waiaruhi rivers.
I have three main concerns about my river when it rains heavily. They are the flooding causing damage to stock and property, the amount of sediment polluting the river water, and the amount of sediment reaching the Bay of Islands where I like to go diving. In the summer, my river is usually lovely and clear, and I swim, kayak, and catch eels in it. When it rains heavily, however, some of our land goes underwater and some of our neighbours' homes get flooded. After the big floods of 2007, NIWA and local residents identified that willows growing in the river restricted water flow, which contributes to the floods, but no research was done at the time. In 2013, I conducted an investigation and found that as the number of willows in the river increased, the flow rate of the water decreased, and the height of the water increased. I used regression analysis to fit a trend line to each set of data and to show that each line was a good match for my data. I wrote to the Northland Regional Council recommending for the council to chop down the willows in the middle of the river. The Northland Regional Council came and cut down the willows in the lower Waiaruhi in front of mine and my neighbours' properties this year. I was able to do a study on the effect of chopping down the willows on total suspended solids and water clarity. I predicted that taking out the willows on the riverbank would increase the amount of sediment in the water and decrease the water clarity, but I found that there was only a small reduction in the water clarity for 11 days after, and no difference in the total suspended solids for those days.
I conducted a literature review about sediment, which is damaging the sea and the river. You can read about this further in my 10-page report. On the 10th of September 2013, I attended a farming steering group meeting where I presented the results of my last year's project, Willowgate. At the moment, the focus group is focusing on farmers to fence off along the waterways of the Waiaruhi River, and they want to know if they should be doing the same about the Waitangi.
My aim is therefore to find out which river out of the Upper Waitangi and the Waiaruhi River is affected the most by sediment by determining which river has the highest total suspended solids concentration, which river has the highest water clarity, and then which river contributes the most sediment to the lower Waitangi River and to the Bay of Islands. To find out the answers to my aims, I conducted the following investigations. I chose two sites, one on the Waiaruhi and one on the Upper Waitangi River, just before they flowed into the lower Waitangi. I took water samples from each site 4 times after no rainfall and after 4 rainfall events. I took 3 samples from each site at each sampling time. This water was used to test for water clarity using a clarity tube and total suspended solids concentration by filtering through a 1.2 micron glass fibre filter. I had controls for my filter papers which didn't have water filtered through them but were otherwise treated exactly the same. I subtracted their change in mass from my research to make sure any mass change was just for the solids measured. After I had been measuring water clarity over the first 2 months, I realized that if I measured flow rate, river height, and mapped the riverbed, I would be able to calculate total river flow and therefore the total amount of suspended solids flowing into the Upper Waitangi and into the Bay of Islands from each river. This was the equivalent of 302 concrete trucks from the Waiaruhi River and 236 concrete trucks from the Waitangi over a 24-hour period.
The next steps I could measure are total suspended solids and water speed at different depths. I would do this so that I can get more accurate results of seeing how much total suspended solids is leaving the river. By doing this extended investigation about my river, I have learned that I can make a difference.
As the Waitangi was less clear at times, had more sediment than I predicted, and contributed a significant amount of total suspended solids into the lower Waitangi River and the Bay of Islands. I have written to the Waitangi River Catchment Farming for the Future Steering Group, recommending that they focus on encouraging farmers to fence off waterways and establish riparian vegetation along the Upper Waitangi as well as the Waiaruhi River to prevent sediment from entering the water.
Thank you for considering my application for Realise the Dream.